Have you ever been tightening a screw-retained implant abutment or abutment and crown, and you can't torque it to 35 Newton centimeters? When you do, the wrench slips. It doesn't stay engaged. Well, there are two reasons this could happen. One is, remember when the laboratory is fabricating the crown and abutment, they have to torque the screw to 35 Newton centimeters to get the interproximal contacts and to be sure it's seating correctly. Well, if they do that enough, they may strip out the coronal part of the screw where the wrench fits into the screw. This part right here where the wrench fits into the screw can strip out. You can see when you look at these, you can see they're stripped out from the lab having tightened them so many times. So this is one problem. This is the seating of the implant abutment and crown. And so once we've taken the impression, we've placed the healing caps in the implants. I'm going to remove those. You can see here are the implants. Then this is the screw retained abutment and crown. I'm going more and more with screw retained abutments and crowns versus a screw retained abutment and then a cemented crown, because you don't have to worry about the margin of the crown. Everything is seated completely and there's no micro gap between the crown and the abutment. So you don't have to worry about a cement line. So I'm initially screwing the implant abutment and crown into the implant. Now this is a crown and cast post on the cuspid. So I'm checking these implant abutments and crowns with floss, and you've got to torque them all the way down to check. So you can see when I'm torquing these to 35 Newton centimeters, we're going to have a crown placed and post on the cuspid here. See, it slips. And what's happened, there are two things that can cause it. One is the screw threads are stripped in the coronal part of the screw. See, I can't get it to 35 Newton centimeters. The first thing you want to do is be sure this part of the ratchet wrench, this part right here, is screwed in all the way. That can be a reason that you can't torque it to 35 Newton centimeters. So be sure this is screwed in all the way. The second thing is replace the screw, which may be stripped internally right here. So we're putting new screws in on each one of the abutments and crowns. And you can see now, once we've tightened this part of the torque wrench and placed new screws, we can easily torque to 35 Newton centimeters. These are the seated screw retained implant abutments and crowns. And like I said, this is a crown with a cast post following endodontics on the cuspid. Now I'm placing plumber's tape into, this is Teflon pipe thread tape. Most people call it plumber's tape, and you roll that up and place that into the hole of the crown to take up space. And also it makes it easier to access the screw if you ever had to go back in there again. So just don't pack it real tight, just pack it firmly. Then we're going to place composite. Now you can etch this with 8% hydrofluoric acid. The porcelain part of the hole is so rough because you've roughened it with your coarse diamond burr that you really don't have to do that. And I'm placing primer adhesive in the hole, and then I'm going to blow that out onto a 2x2. Don't blow it out into the mouth, because if you do, it'll get all over the crowns and all over the patient's mouth. Put a 2x2 right on top of it and blow that excess primer adhesive onto the 2x2. Then cure the primer adhesive prior to placing the composite. And I'm going to place highly filled composite in the hole on top of the plumber's tape. And I'm using this football instrument to contour the composite. Smooth that out, cure it, check the occlusion. There you have it. So this is what to do if you ever can't torque the screw in an implant abutment and crown to 35 Newton centimeters. Change the screw and also screw in that little end piece on your ratchet wrench. And that's the Dental Minute. These techniques work, and they work every time.